Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Coach Paul Tortorella Show. This is Jack Benedict, and we're going to talk IUP football, Crimson Hawks football, that is. And I have here, what a day it was. That Saturday, it went on and on and on. Crimson Hawks come away with a 43-34 win over Gannon. I don't know where we start, Coach. How about this? I mean, you've been around a long time, and I've never seen anything like this in my life where we have 4 delays. And how about when the first one occurred? You're all set to play this game, and you're psyched and ready to go. Then they tell you got to go in because there's lightning in the area. We're not even going to start on time.
Well, it was a long day. A lot of, you had to, be able to focus over a long period of time. We pulled in at 10 in the morning, and we didn't finish the game till 6:30. So we were actually at the stadium for 8.5 hours. Give our players and our coaches credit to, just stay focused throughout the delays and kind of just stay the course. But it was something I haven't been a part of.
Well, I know in 50 years I've never been a part of it either. What I was, I think, amazed, and also the credit to your players and the coaches and everybody, is when you came out after a delay, how psyched the guys were. They were still into it.
Well, when you sit in that, it's a tight locker room, and you go in, and the crazy thing is, there were times where they said, well, it may be an hour, and then 15 minutes later they said, hey, 10 minutes, be ready. So you never had a real grasp on what the situation was, but we tried to get, some football things done and then let them relax, take their pads off. They were listening to music, and then about 10 minutes before we'd go out, we'd get them back together and try to get them locked in. And, I thought the coaches, obviously, and the players really handled it probably as well as you could.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been at a game where the coaches could actually take a walk for a few blocks and come back. I mean, that was the case, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I think we had a couple coaches go down to McDonald's and get a cup of coffee. The one good thing actually about that whole thing is the locker room is right next to the stadium. Like our deal against Slippery Rock, we only had 1 delay, but it's a little bit of a trip to get in and out of the locker room.
Right.
I mean, at Gannon there, you're right there in the end zone. So that was the one thing that was the positive of it. Was easy to get in and out. 2 minutes you're on the field.
Yeah.
Warm up. I guess we warmed up 4 or 5 different times. So, but it was good that we just stayed with it.
Yeah. First half you trailed 28-26 going in, at the end of the first half. Ups and downs, ebb and flow in that first half of play. Jones was getting his yards. Just give me kind of an overview of the first half.
Well, I think, when you look at the first half, the 2 things that were really critical on our end that hurt us were our kickoff coverage was horrible. They were starting drives at their 40, 45, 50. We had 1 turnover on a tip pass where they got the ball on the plus 40. Our defense was put in some bad situations, but we didn't help ourselves on defense with penalties. So when you throw the penalties, the poor kick coverage, the 1 turnover we had on offense, our defense was put in tough situations. But there was a couple series there where we would have had them 3rd and 12, but we lined up offside one time. Another time we got a 15-yard penalty for arguing with the opponent. I mean, we were just really screwing ourselves up with undisciplined penalties. Our kick coverage wasn't very good. And, offensively, other than the first 2 drives, we played well all day. We got off to a great start. The crazy thing about on defense is the series is where we didn't give up points. They were all 3 and outs. Mm-hmm. And we had 2 takeaways also. So, if we just don't get the penalties and we do a better job in kick coverage, we maybe give up 14 points. They only had 279 yards the whole game. Mm-hmm. And they were 1 for 9 on 3rd down. So if somebody comes to me and says, Gannon's going to have 279 yards of total offense, they're going to be 1 for 9 on 3rd down, they might score 10 points. Mm-hmm. But because of the kick coverage and the penalties, which really was accentuated in the first half, because the second half, they didn't score until their last drive. And they had good field position on that, and we had a 15-yard penalty on that drive. But offensively, other than the first 2 series, we had great field position after the first series, and we had to kick a field goal because we had a holding call on 2nd and 1. And then the other series, we had an interception, and we had another holding penalty that hurt us there. So, and we had the punt. So other than the first 2 series of the game, offensively we played great. Defensively, we played great in spots, but we were our own worst enemy.
Yeah, and they even ran out of punt formation.
Well, there's another one. We fumbled a punt return that hurts us on defense because we got to go back out and play defense. Right. That was the short field that they had. And then we actually stopped them after the fake punt, but we knew it was coming. We had a guy that was supposed to be on contain, and he just lost contain. And, we were screaming, stay outside. The punter even lined up only at 8 yards instead of his normal 14 yards. So we knew the fake was coming.
Giveaway.
It was a giveaway. And but to give our defense credit, after the fake punt, we went back out there, and in 3 plays we got them to punt again. Mm-hmm. But we just made it really hard on ourselves defensively with the special teams and our penalties on defense.
The overall spectrum of the game, you had 516 total yards. Actually could have had a couple more touchdowns too.
Well, you take away, we have to kick 2 field goals instead of scoring 2 touchdowns down there in the red zone because we had 2 holding calls. So there's probably 8 points we lose right there. So now you're at 51 points. Defensively, there's no question with the poor kick coverage and the penalties that we occurred on defense, we probably gave them 20 of their 34 points. So we took a game that should have been 51-14 and made it a lot harder than it had to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looked like you made some pretty good plays in the secondary, and you've been using the young guys and the veteran guys, JR and so on, and Obi on the young guys, and then you had a couple of sacks to throw in.
Absolutely. Too. Well, the saying they were who we thought they were would come into effect here because we knew that they would struggle if they had to throw the ball, especially in that weather. Jones was the guy you had to stop, and we did a pretty good job on him, actually. He had 27 carries for 140 yards. But, other than 2 or 3 runs, we played him pretty well. We knew if we got them in passing situations, they were 1 for 9 on 3rd down. We had gotten an interception and a fumble, a takeaway. So they were about what we thought they were offensively. And the problem was we couldn't get them in 3rd down when we had problems with penalties and giving them short fields because of our poor kickoff coverage.
Yeah. You had mentioned, and I've seen the two really tough guys are Lenny Williams and Justice Evans, and they really showed up. Lenny accounting for, the running and passing. Justice Evans is not a big guy. Well, he had the one run, was right down below us, well, right in front of your bench. Mm-hmm. But he changed his hands on the ball. I mean, he makes all these wonderful moves. These 2 guys really, really did a job, didn't they?
They're warriors. And if I go out on a limb and call you a warrior, you're pretty special. And both those guys are physically very tough. Lenny took a shot. We thought it was a helmet to helmet. His helmet flew off. They didn't call it, which that's fine. But it was a pretty good shot. Justice took a couple pretty good shots in the run game, but he was also great. He made 2 great catches in the pass game. But those 2 guys together, when you look at 520 yards or whatever we had, they really pretty much accounted for 75% of our offense.
Yeah. Going here late in the season, looks like you're going to get some guys back. Samir Bullock going to be back?
We hope so this week. We probably, going into this week, may be as healthy as we've been all year. If we can get Walls and Samir back, we came out of this game pretty healthy. We really didn't lose anybody or get anybody severe, injured where they wouldn't be able to play this week. So if we can get Samir back and Dwayne Walls back, we'll be close to 100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you come up to a Seton Hill team that's won 1 game in a couple of years, and you take a look at him. Ardell Brown is a super receiver. He's got big numbers. Quarterback situation. Have you several guys? Have they been starting the freshman out of California, Chris Jones?
Well, he started. They had the strong kid that was their starter for 3 years, and he took about every snap for 3 years. Stayed healthy, never got hurt, et cetera, et cetera. So they had to go in a whole different direction this year. The Jones kid now is kind of taken over. Their offense is a pass-heavy spread offense, so it's quarterback friendly, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And Ardell Brown may be the best receiver in the conference. So you have to worry about their offense, the way they play, in regards to they get you to cover. They're in no backs in the backfield a lot of the time. They spread the whole field. They can get you in some. They get in some crazy formations. I call it reindeer games. When they're out there, there's 4 on one side. There's 1 on another side. They have one formation. They got everybody on one side and nobody on the back side. So they do some neat things offensively. Where their downfall's been is they've not played very good defense, and teams have run the ball on them. And we've had that success against them the last couple of years. We've really run the ball well on them, but their offense can cause you problems.
Yeah, it appears you're getting the running game in order now, that it's coming around, and apparently too, if you have Samir back,
Right.
he's only going to get stronger.
Well, what we did this week is we totally flipped it. The last 3 games, the time of possession was totally against us, and a lot of different reasons. So one of the goals going into the week against Gannon was, let's get the time of possession flipped. Well, how do you do that? Well, you run the ball, you convert third downs, you don't turn it over on offense. We did a great job of that. We were 6 for 14, I think, on third down, and we ran the ball very well. And then on defense, you get off the field on third down. Well, they were 1 for 9 on third down. So that flipped the time of possession. We had been minus 4 minutes the last 3 weeks, and we were plus 8 actually in this game. So, like we say, good things happen when the defense is standing on the sideline and the offense is on the field. So we had to get that flipped because the last 3 weeks it was not in our favor.
Mm-hmm. Well, you and I have talked about this, your tandem at linebacking spot with Damon Lloyd and Nick Amendola are as good as we've seen in a long time. They're really a
Right.
great tandem, aren't they?
They sure are. And the interesting thing about that was, that game was so long that you're talking about, if you're playing or coaching, you got to be ready at 12 o'clock to play. That game doesn't get over till 6:30. That's 6.5 hours where you got to be locked in and focused. And both Nick and Damon on the last drive both blew coverages. It was the same coverage where they didn't pick the back up out in the flat who was theirs. And we had worked it all week, and we had seen it most of the game and covered it. But after 6.5, sometimes those things happen, and we were really upset about it. But when you go back and think about it, these guys, for 6.5 hours are trying. And at linebacker, you're involved in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, every play is like 4th and 1 when you play linebacker. You're involved in the run game. You're involved in the pass game. You're sometimes blitzing. And they had 2 busts on the last series where they scored their last touchdown that we played the whole game and stopped the play, and they ran it twice on the last drive, and both sides. One went to Nick's side, he didn't cover the guy, and one went to Damon's side, and he didn't cover the guy. And they were telling us when they were doing it because they were motioning the guy from wide out into the backfield. So it was like they were telling us, here it comes, and I guess just it's a hard thing to do is focus that whole period over a long period.
Well, they shouldn't feel bad, being on the air off and on.
You made
all
some
day.
mistakes
I
late
made a
too,
few.
probably.
I made a few.
I
too.
did too, so don't worry.
You know what? It turned into a win. Long day at that, but that was the bottom line. You got it going. You know what has to be done with Seton Hill coming up, and then just no let up now.
Well, we're back on track. 1-2 in a row. Our big thing right now is we just want to play the right way. If we play the right way, we're a tough team to beat. When we don't play the right way, we're pretty average. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty easy to see, like I told the team after the game Saturday, you don't have to be in coaching 34 years like I am to understand that when you play the right way, look what happens, and when you don't, look what happens. Yeah. And it's right there, right in front of us. So hopefully, we'll get better this week in practice and be ready to go Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Good luck, okay?
Thanks, Jack.
All right, it's a noon kickoff with Seton Hill at Signetti Field and Miller Stadium. We hope to see you there. For the coach, this is Jack Benedict, and have a real nice night.